Hey, so let's start with this. Have you ever underestimated yourself? Do you struggle with asking for advice or suggestions because you feel inside not so secure about what you want to say? I want to share with you a moment that has recently happened. So I've rocked up to Dubai. And one of the key things you have to do is socialize, right? Go to network events, meet people. And every time I would go for a network event, I would sit on the sideline with all that public speaking knowledge that I have, concerned and worried about what to say and how to say it. Okay, first of all, I'm in a new country. I'm learning about the culture, learning about what you can do and what you can't do. And so when you have to pitch all of a sudden, and this is not familiar territory, you can't help but start comparing yourself with others. So here I was sitting at this meeting and I was listening to one pitch after the other because people have to introduce themselves. And because it's a business council, of course, it's all about that pitch. And as I was listening to one person after the other, my head went off on its own tangent. It was like, oh, I can't say that. What about if I start saying this? What about if I start saying this? It was just going at such a speed. I was making notes. And all of a sudden, I was like, well, what is it that I really do? I was having like this midlife crisis in a second. And while it was all amusing, I was also struggling with this whole idea that I was truly not listening to one person or the other because I was too busy in my head trying to get the message right. No, okay, hands up. Who else goes through that? And if you don't really go through that, I would be very very concerned if I'm the only one out there. Anyway, it came to my time. I stood up, I looked around, and in my head, I went, F this. And I just spoke and shared in the most simplistic way what I do. I just stopped faking it. I just got over it. I was like, I'm so tired of it. This is costing me a lot of energy. Here's the weird thing, though. The moment I was done, people came towards me and said, Hey, I'd like to work with you. I would like to work with you because I trust you know what you're saying. I was like, all these years, I'm trying to make this perfect pitch. I've done so many courses, and it just took for me to go F this and say what's truly on my mind to get that. You know what I started to realize, and I started laughing? It's about my book, Befriend Your Mind. When I wrote this book years ago, it's based off this practice, the Lojong practice. And Lojong practice was a mind training written and designed by a monk from the Buddhist background. And these are like really short slogans that when you put them into practice into your day to day life, you're almost catching yourself out from reacting persistently to the external environment. You have to look inside of yourself just by this one simple sentence. All right. So, right after that, I have to give a workshop. And I delivered this workshop called the Calmness, Communication, and Confidence in the Age of AI. Now, believe me, when you go through that experience in the pitch, there's no way you're feeling calm at all. But it was a really good introduction to me because, as you start doing something, somehow or the other, the universe conspires to make sure that what you're looking for, it just comes to you and you have to go through it or practice it. And of course, the universe being the universe, I had to now start exploring what is the content I'm giving the workshop. So I had to start exploring my calmness and I had to explore my communication and I have to explore my confidence. And what better in a place that you actually have no idea and you're learning being uncomfortable and learning to find the ropes in this whole dynamics and new place. So as I'm going through this whole experience and I'm using one of the Lojong slogans from my book, Befriend Your Mind, one of the things was stop comparing, stop competing. So here I was with all these inner voices, and I started to recognize each of them for all the advices I've been persistently taking in the time that I was at my lowest. You see, when I was at my lowest, because I wasn't able to be like everybody was in society, I was struggling still. I was not okay with a lot of things. And every time I'd voice it, I would get this advice that I never really asked for. And I was left with more doubts about myself. And so over time, as an entrepreneur, you go through more struggles than successes. They start building and your doubts start going really, really big. And so you're constantly trying not to fall into the trap of judging yourself, but you're going towards using your doubts as information. And that's what comparison often does. If you're constantly comparing yourself, there's two avenues you can go. You can either go down the avenue of making yourself judging yourself even more, or blaming others, or constantly, actually just beating yourself up. And then there's the other avenue where you see the doubts, and you're with this level of awareness and you go, okay, what is that really informing me at this moment? And so here I was undergoing these two situations while creating this workshop. I then go through, because the workshop is running it through the age of AI, I decided, okay, let me work with AI on this. So, of course, I was going through weeks and back and forward for weeks. I designed a workshop. I would put it into AI. It would generate different models, different brainstorms. But I always would initially when I read it, I would be like, wow, this is amazing. Then I'd walk away, go grab a cup of coffee, come back, and I go, this really actually is not me. And so again, now I'm starting to realize how quickly it is to doubt myself in this new generative communicative tool that we have. And I'm not sure if I want to call it a tool anymore. And then I got told about this article from the Harvard Business Review. It just came out this month. And I'm going to look for it and hopefully put it in the links in the links below. In Harvard Business Review in 2024, we were using AI to generate ideas. Any guesses what we're using it for now? Therapy, advice. And that got me really, really concerned, because it made me realize how much we actually doubt ourselves so much on the inside that we're looking for something out there that is so certain to give us certainty and make us feel good and give us some direction on where to go. Because in doubts, actually, you're very much in discomfort and uncertainty. You're taking a risk. It can somewhat be a bit of a calculated risk. And if you're not really stepping back and observing yourself, it can be a risk that can have unintended consequences. In fact, it made me realize if we drop the noise outside of us and really start looking inside of us, these monks knew already, no matter what comes our way outside of us, ultimately, the key is looking within. Ultimately, it's about dropping all that noise and looking inside of us. When I delivered that workshop, you're going to laugh. There were two results. There was the one that I was hoping to get and the one that I actually got. Now, I prepared. I thought I prepared. I went through with ChatGPT. I got my points down and everything. Then I got to the front and I asked the group, what is it that you'd like out of the session? And then I focused on that. And so what I prepared for and what I delivered were actually very different. The kind of preparation I needed with my doubts was to be okay with understanding how to put my knowledge into practice, how to use certain platforms, because when you're asked questions that you don't expect, you're somewhat prepared because you practiced it. If you ask me what we should be focusing on going forward, no matter, because AI is going to keep accelerating, is we got to focus on learning how to trust ourselves and not keep seeking so many products out there, so many exercises out there to try and get a quick fix, because let's face it, quick fixes are not really helping us. And the fact that we're asking OpenAI for therapy and suggestions, it makes me wonder how much do we really have confidence in ourselves to speak about the uncomfortable things? Hey, we may say we're moving forward, but have we really? Or are we just hoping for a newer solution, a shinier solution each time, and a faster solution for actually the place where the real solution is is within ourselves. So if you haven't yet, check out my book, Befriend Your Mind. And if you want the more traditional version, look out for the Lojong practice. If you can practice these slogans, they are very useful because they help you observe yourself in your day to day life. It helps you step back and actually get more comfortable being in your pause, in your patience, and not be so reactive with the world. It gives you enough space as you're observing this one habit of yours, this invisible habit, that one thing you don't want anyone to know, and relax from it. You free yourself from it, that you do realize that you can start speaking differently to others. I swear by it, but I cannot force you to it, but I can invite you to that conversation. I will also put the link below of the book. Get it, contact me, and I will be sharing more about these slogans in my newsletter. Have a good one, and I look forward to sharing with you next month's lineup of guests.